Hello friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. This is part 2 of a 2-part series of my haul from Robert M. Place. In part 1, I showed the Lenormand decks that I ordered from him. And maybe I'll try to put a card here so that you can go see part 1 if you haven't yet. This is part 2, and in this part, I'm going to be showing the Alchemical Tarot de Marseille by Robert M. Place. Now, let me say this now and just get it off my chest. I had been hemming and hawing and not wanting to buy this deck for several months because, now, I bow to Robert M. Place's scholarship and his knowledge. He knows way more than I do. However, it's my own personal thing. I wish he hadn't called it a Tarot de Marseille. Because for me, when I think of Tarot de Marseille, I'm not thinking of decks published only in Marseille, but there is a style of deck, a style of pips that is commonly referred to as a Marseille style deck. And this deck doesn't match that. They have different kinds of pips, which is fine. I just wish he hadn't called it a Marseille deck. Now, calling it a Marseille deck doesn't mean that it's better than anything else. It doesn't mean it's older than other things. Marseille decks are definitely not the oldest tarot-style decks that we know of. There are Italian decks which are older. There are decks from other places that don't match the Marseille style that are also older. And so I just like certain styles of decks to be called Marseille and other decks to be called something else. That's all I'm trying to say. But as you can see, I purchased it. I didn't purchase it to rag on it. I purchased it because I realized that I've been thinking about it for such a long time that I really did want to work with it eventually. So here it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this side by side with a Tarot de Marseille deck, the Convert deck produced by Yoav Ben Dov. And the Convert deck is probably the most widely copied and used Marseille deck. So we're going to look at them side by side so that we can see what the differences are and what the similarities are. And also, stay tuned to the end if you can. I can't say how long this video is going to be yet, but it's probably going to be long. I tend to be a little bit long-winded. But if you stay till the end of this video, there's going to be a little something special. So, see you then. Bye-bye. First, I'm going to turn the camera down and we're going to look at the decks. See you in a little bit. And here we go. So again, this is my CBD Tarot de Marseille by Yoav Ben Dov, and this is the Alchemical Tarot of Marseille by Robert M. Place, the amazingly brilliant Robert M. Place. I've got a lot of his decks, and we're looking at his Marseille-style deck. So, this one's already open. Let me open this one up. I've just got the plastic opened enough for me to get in very easily. So this will be an unboxing. And here we go into the, now this case is lovely. I think Robert M. Place has started doing this with all of his decks these days. Let me get this plastic out of the stream of the wind. With all of his decks these days, he's got them in this cloth-coated box, which is just gorgeous. You can see here an interpretation of the French tarot that references alchemy and the Hermetic texts by Robert M. Place. Sticker on the cloth covered box. Here is the back with, for sale, right? a deck and book set, Hermes Publications, which is Robert M. Place's self-publishing company. And one of the clever things about this box is that it opens, you can see the tab here for your fingers, opens like this, like a drawer. But not even like a drawer, because here we go. And I forgot that he puts plastic inside too. So this is the inside of the box. The inside of the box is beautifully done. Simple, but it's finished. It's beautifully finished. Yeah, no detail is left unthought of. And so you can see this is a gilded deck. Yes. The deck, let me turn it to the back, and the book, and the inside of the inside box. Yeah, just lovely packaging, beautiful packaging. And here we go, the Alchemical Tarot of Marseille, an interpretation of the French tarot that references alchemy and the Hermetic texts. So here we have the booklet. It's color, which is nice, glossy, but kind of down and dirty. I mean, it's not a very high-tech, high-end binding, but it's more than suitable. Here we have the Magician, or Le Batillier, and we have an introduction, which goes on. Okay, we've got some good information here for the introduction. And here we go with the descriptions of the cards. So, for example, for Le Folle, we have also known as Le Mat. The madman is not a trump, and therefore it is not numbered. In the game, it is a wild card known as the excuse. The figure represents a jongleur, a traveling performer who could be an acrobat or a jester. Because he is a stranger traveling through town, the dog attacks him. His quote in the opening line from the Parmenides, the first book of Hermetica, it describes the first step taken by Hermes Trismegistus in his journey toward enlightenment. Alchemically, Le Folle is the alchemist, the beginning of the opus. The symbol at the top of the card symbolizes the entire opus, which means work in Latin, which is referred to as the squaring of the circle. Le Folle is a beginner. He is ignorant, but capable of learning. So that's the kind of information you get for the trumps. Now, you don't exactly get keywords or what it means. It's a description of the card with some possible meanings included. And so we get that for all of the trumps. And then moving forward, we have the minor suits and a little bit of information for the suits. For example, the two of deniers, the two of coins. Mercury and Venus are lovers, but they are held apart by the Ouroboros serpent polarization or by the Ouroboros serpent polarization or stagnation. Okay, so different from a two of pentacles, for example, in a Rider-Waite Smith deck, but you don't exactly get a lot of divinatory meanings, keywords, that kind of thing. But that's okay, that's fine. I think you can read with that. And this goes to the back, ending with the King of Wands, Roi de Bâton. So, divination. Let me read this briefly. A tarot deck is a visual conversation that makes use of archetypal images. This conversation has been going on between artists for over 600 years. While you see a tarot deck, you are using a specific deck that reflects the individual interpretations of an artist who joined in on the centuries-old conversation. With this appreciation, we must allow the pictures to talk to us, tell us a story, and we will find that the story has meaning. I think that's very good. The easiest way to do this is to shuffle the cards, lay out 3 cards in a row, and then read the cards as one story or message from our higher self. Look to how the figures on the cards interact with each other. Are they moving in one way or another, left or right? Are some figures facing each other, or are they back to back? Do some converge in the middle, or is that a point of departure? Do some cards stop the flow of energy, or do some act as teachers, pointing out qualities in other cards? Also look for similarities between the cards. What does this say to you? Some interpreters or teachers of Tarot de Marseille call that visual rhymes. And finally, look for what is different. Is there a change from one side to the other? Is this polarity meaningful? Okay, so you don't exactly get spreads in this little white book, but this is a good way to read Tarot de Marseille. And while this is not an in-depth how-to guide, it certainly is helpful. And it will be helpful in reading or looking at the cards to check what you're seeing against what the author had or the creator had interpreted or planned for the cards. So I think this will be very useful. That's wonderful. Now, let me get into the plastic. Let me see how difficult. Oh, okay, I think I can do this without my sharp implement and without, nope, I'm not going, okay. I need my sharp implement. So I will be right back. Just a moment. Here we go. Don't worry. No damage being done to any animals or cards. And here we go, removing the plastic around the deck. Okay, gorgeous, gorgeous deck. Interesting cardstock. I was not expecting this cardstock. Okay, so this is the back. And let me take out my CBD, Tarot de Marseille. Let me make sure I get all of the cards. Here we go. Want to make sure I take out the extra blank cards. So this is what the back of the CBD deck looks like. And yes, all the backs on the Alchemical Tarot de Marseille look like this. Gorgeous image. If you need to have reversals, this is going to be a little difficult for some of us. It will not bother me, but I know it would bother some people who like to read with reversals, but are afraid when the backs tip them off as to which card is reversed. So here we get Hermes, we get Mercury, we get the Carduceus on his staff. Typical Hermes or Mercury image, right? Interesting that this vessel looks like it's pointing down. Very interesting to me. And you see Robert place his initials, something like, well, not even remotely like Pixie's initials, but she put her initials on her deck and here are Robert's. Okay, so let's turn the deck around and see look at this artwork. This artwork is gorgeous and why I really, really, really wanted this deck. So this is the Fool. And let me see, my Fool for this deck is in the back, and let me just, not in the back, is at the end of the mages. And let me just pull it out to the front, because I think that will keep us on track. So here we go. This deck, if you're curious, is very standard US game style cardstock. It's smaller than a tarot size for the CBD. Now you can see that the CBD is more narrow than a Rider-Waite Smith tarot standard size from US Games, which a lot of my Marseille and Italian decks are like that. They're more narrow. Narrower, as we like to say in English. Narrower, more narrow. Suddenly I'm confused about that. More narrow, I think, is correct. Okay, so, however, narrower. Okay, so I need to go back to my grammar books. Here we go with the Alchemical Tarot de Marseille. You see it is much larger than a US Games standard tarot size, which is great, Again, these are gilded. This is a gilded deck. And it's a sharp gilding. So if that bothers your fingers, just be forewarned. Yeah. Okay, so the Fool. You'll notice that each of the cards has a little bit of printing here on the side. Here is that squaring of the circle that I read about from the book. Once on a time when I had begun to think about things that are, and my thoughts had soared high aloft. Okay, so we got thoughts soaring high above as we think of things as they are. We got le fol, we got the dog. And we have an alchemical symbol. Yeah? Different, yes? Okay, here we have le Batillier, or the le Batillier. Very similar. I mean, you've got most of the stuff you'd want, right? But instead of being this kind of a guy, this is a more of a Hermes kind of guy, right? We've got the Carduceus, we've got the winged hat, but we do have the stuff on the table. Yeah, we've got cups, we've got dice, we've got coins, we've got a sword. Now we've got dice, we've got cups, we've got swords, we've got a wand. We don't see stuff in the background here on this card, but instead we see stuff on a cloth for the table. So cool, right? We have Mercury. I'm not going to read all of these, but let me read this one for you. It must be that all the world which lies below has been set in order and filled with contents by the things which are placed above. So, as above, so below, right? Here we go with La Papesse. Ooh, a very, very, very revealing La Papesse, right? Very different, but beautiful. We've got the book, we've got the crown, we got the banner behind her. So, an updated version of La Papesse, although it's interesting that he has her revealing her shoulders. Who is it that has confined the sea within its bounds? So is she unconfining herself? We've got the moon, we've got Aquarius, looks like, and we've got a water symbol above it. Okay, here we go with l'Imperatrice. We got the shield, we got the crown, we got the, is it a chair, is it not a chair? Behind her. Now, okay, maybe this is not Aquarius. Maybe this is just a symbol for water? I don't know. Okay. Well, let me check. L'Imperatrice. Where are you, Imperatrice? La Papesse. The Imperatrice is the wife of the Holy Roman Emperor. Her primary responsibility is to give birth to the emperor's heir. Well, that's something. She is the embodiment of fertility and the feminine archetype. Alchemically, she is the white queen, representing Earth in its dissolution. Her symbol depicts Earth separating from the solution. Ah, okay. So, this is the solution. Got it, I got it. Here we go with l'Imperateur. Is not air a body, and does not that body permeate all things that are? So here we have air separating from the solution. We got the wand. He's a little bit more seated than a traditional emperor, but that's cool. And here we go with Le Pape. Le Pape. Now the titles are the same. One difference is we don't have these two supplicants or acolytes in front of him. But we got the pillars. We got basically a similar gesture. We've got the cross. We've got a trinity here, which is interesting. I like that. Okay, here we go. L'amoureux, the lover. Not the lovers, but the lover. And we've got the two ladies. We've got the idea of choice. We've got Cupid pointing the arrow at, let's see, this one at her. This one is pointing at his foot. Okay. but basically we can read these very similarly. Which one looks younger to you? This one, this girl, this lady looks more like this lady to me. And this lady looks more like this lady to me, although her cloak matches her dress. She looks, to me, she looks older. She looks younger because of her hair. In this one, the woman on the left looks older than this lady. Okay, so here we have Les Chariots. Very, very nice. Okay, we've got an alchemical symbol here. We've got the 4 elements above with a kind of Libra symbol up there. Instead of having the creator's initials here, we've just got a triangle. Man is mortal by reason of his body. He is immortal by reason of the man of eternal substance. Like that. We got the horses pointing in somewhat different directions, although these horses clearly have back ends, where these horses often do not have backsides. And here we go with justice, la justice. The artwork on this deck is brilliant, amazing. The clarity of the line work, the richness of the colors, the symbolism, the clarity of the text, how well it frames or works in with the images, I think is brilliant. This deck is brilliant, and I'm very glad I got it. I like that the foot is sticking out here where it's not in the CBD deck. Sorry, I'm trying to indicate things and shifting things around too much. Yeah, we got the 2 pillars, we got the sword pointing up above, we got the scales, and perhaps you could still see one knee slightly tilting the scales here, as some people see in this card. Here we have l'ermite, the hermit. Now, same direction. We got, I like that he's barefoot. I like that, personally. Don't exactly see his face fully, but that's fine. We got the lantern, we got light. Can you see the light here in the camera? It should be, yeah, you should be able to see that clearly. I like that you can see this glow without any line work, this just very soft, radiant glow coming out of the lamp. However, a lot of us see that this hermit is actually walking backwards into the unknown future. Here, let me see, what does it say? For the incorporeal is not a thing perceptible by touch or sight. That works with walking backwards into an unknown future to me. Here we go. La roue de fortune. My French pronunciation is horrendous. Non, mais oui. But here we have, okay, hot, cold, dry, wet. Yeah, the wheel of fortune and how the symbols are achieved. Yeah, we have fire, which is hot, dry. We have air, which is hot, wet. We have water, which is cold, wet. We have earth, which is cold, dry. And instead of being actual animal-looking figures, I take it back. We've got human faces on these 2 figures, right? This one is entirely human, going up with a costume. This character has human legs, but animal head and front paws, legs. Here we have a human with animal posterior, but human head and arms. That's interesting. That transformation from one to the other. And that the one going up, not the one at the very top, but the one going up is the one that is entirely human. Okay, so here we have force. I like this force. I like both of them. And I miss just a little bit that somewhat lemniscate image in the hat. I'm just that way. But, however, I love this card because, and look at the color of that tongue. It's lovely. I love that purple. They look like they're in a good relationship. Yeah, she doesn't look like she's forcing his mouth open by any means. The force is the animal, is the powerful lion, and she is in good relationship with her force, just as she is. However, some cards, especially in the Italian traditions, have a much less positive relationship between the human and the lion. Sometimes there's a man with a huge piece of wood, a stick, a kind of rude wand form beating the lion. On other decks, it's just the human. There are no animals, a human showing strength in some way. Here we go with Le Pendu, my favorite card in a deck and one that I always check. And I love this Pendu. I like this hanged one. We got the 4 in the legs. I like that the arms are free and not stuck behind his back. Now, I like that he's able to feel around him as he looks from in this position. Let's see what the text says for this one. That man gives man to boundless appetites, and so by his own doing, he makes the fire hotter for his torment. Okay, so in this deck, it's more of a tormented hanged man than I perhaps like. For me, the hanged man is no longer the one of the traitor being punished or the one being hung, but one that has placed themselves in this position for a new perspective, for a different perspective. I identify strongly with the hanged man, and that's why my subtitle for my channel is The Hanged Man in the Moon. And here we go with the nameless card. Good, I'm glad he didn't give it a name. We got heads, we got hands, we got, look at the hair at the back of his head. We've got the scythe. The red on this side is at the bottom. The red on this side looks a little bit more bloody, but that's cool. Yeah, card 13. Like that he kept it at card 13. Here we go with temperance. Very nice. Interesting that instead of being 2 of the same vessel, we have 1 vessel and 1 cup. Yeah, we have Hermes and Mercury and Venus. Beautiful. The red's here, the blue is here. We have the flower here up in the head. We don't have any background landscape, but that's okay. Here we go with Le Diable. Le Diable. We have the 2 imps. I like the expression on these 2 imps. I like that this devil creature, which has the face in the belly, which is somewhat similar to what they call a type 1, whereas this one is a type 2 devil. Now this has the face in the belly, no eyes in the knees or elbows, but that's cool. It's a very sexy looking devil, if you ask me, this devil. This devil has the cord around their necks, but his grip on the cords is very, very slight. Yeah, very, very delicate. He's not holding on to them tightly. These 2 imps could free themselves, I'm sure, very easily if they wanted to. I love the antlers on their heads. I love the expression on this one's face as he looks at her, as she apparently looks at him. I like his pose. Perhaps a little bit shy, a little bit, I don't know, can I? What is she thinking? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, here we go. La Maison Dieu. I like this one a little bit better. I like it when these figures, when it looks like this figure might be coming out of their own accord, might just be crawling out of a side door. These two are definitely falling. And this one looks a little bit more like the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot as a tower to me. What does it say here? Every birth of living flesh will be followed by a destruction, but all that decays will be renewed. Now, we can get that from here. But there are other ways of reading the La Maison Dieu, the house god. And this opens it up to less destructive, more deliberate readings to me. Okay, here we go with L'Étoile, the star. We got the naked lady. She's got all of her body up on land. You know, she doesn't have part on land, part in the water. That's fine. We've got the planets around the stars. Now, these stars being the planets. Lovely, absolutely lovely. This artwork is gorgeous. And here we go with La Lune. La Lune. We have this one's a crab. This one's more like a lobster, crayfish, whatever. Two dogs. Yeah. One here looking more domestic than the other, whereas these two, it's a little bit more difficult to discern which one is which if that's important to you. These two towers are the same, whereas these two are different if that's important to you. But we've got the side-facing moon in this one. Some moons, like I believe the type 1 moon is often front-facing, but we got the side-facing moons here. Okay, and we don't get any, well, instead of the balls of fire, flame, energy, whatever, we've got rays coming out of here. Okay, moving on to Le Soleil. Le Soleil, I'm sorry. You can hit me when you see me. That's not French. Okay, so here we go. Instead of two boys, perhaps even the imps released from the devil. Now, some people see this as the tail, the leftover tail from one of the imps, this little thing here. We've definitely got a male and a female in full clothes. Could be the imps without their horns. Could be. The imps from the devil in this deck were definitely male and female. Could still see that. Interesting that there's a heart here, reminding us somewhat of a Two of Cups or a love card. Interesting. No wall. Here we have the Judgment card, and instead of being, some people see this as a child. No children here, but we do have three figures coming up. All very human flesh tones. Very white human flesh tones. And we have the angel from above. Look at the colors in the angel's wings. I love that. We've got colors here, but for some reason, these colors are so much easier for me to see. We got the cloud, we got the halo, we got the horn. Beautiful. Two men and a woman. Okay, so moving on to Le Monde. Okay, so definitely a female figure in this Le Monde. Some of the figures in Tarot de Marseille, the figures sometimes look like they could be androgynous or slightly even male. Definitely female in both of these. And we have the four fixed signs, or the four evangelists, or the cherubim. You can see we have air for Aquarius. We have water for Scorpio. We have fire for Leo. We have earth for Taurus here. Definitely very clear to see. We have the wrapped leaves, the wrapped wreath here, top, bottom, but we have extra wrapping on the sides here. Cool. So so we're in the same order. That's wonderful. So here we have the Ace of Pentacles. Eight Pentacles and Earth suit. I love this bounteous wreath around this one. So the decoration around these is going to be different than what I would often think of as a Tarot de Marseille. However, we do have, now, okay, interesting. Instead of just being this wreath, we have an Ouroboros. Not an Ouroboros, an Ouroboros, right. The serpent or the dragon eating itself from the tail. But we have Hermes Publications, New York, 2020. And here we have Converse 1760, Bendov 2010, the publisher's information. Here we have the 3 of coins. I like that we have the 3 arranged like this. I miss this decoration, but this is interesting information to add on to it. This looks a little bit like creation in progress, right? And then we have alchemical symbols around. Here we have the 4. 4, this is not necessarily greed, right? But instead of the shield, we got a guy digging. Digging for what? For the Philosopher's Stone, for what? Here we have, I wonder if these are goddesses and gods, or if these are something else. The faces in the 4 coins are different. 2 feminine figures and 2 male figures. I'm going to check. Let's see what the 4 of coins says here. Let's see, the 4 of coins. Okay, interesting. Here we have the miser. So I don't see the miser in a Tarot de Marseille deck, but here we have the miser buries his coins. The combination of earth and the number 4 makes this card heavily grounded. The 4 elements are linked with the 2 divine couples, Jupiter and Juno, Pluto and Persephone. Hoarding or investment. See, in Tarot de Marseille, I tend not to see this as hoarding. I save that for Rider-Waite-Smith. To me, I see this as a stable foundation, a stability in finances, also in health and resources. However, here we've got apparently a guy burying his treasure, which reads a little bit more Rider-Waite-Smith to me. But of course, you don't have to read it that way. I can look at this and see something else. I could see stability. We've got 4 coins laid out very stable, in strong stability. Here we have the 5 of coins. And this reminds me a lot of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, rather than what I would see in a Tarot de Marseille. This reminds me of the poor people outside of the church. Here we have the 6. Okay, so 6 is a card of dynamism. I prefer this arrangement of the 6 coins to this one, because this seems very fixed, whereas this reminds me of a wheel, of things flowing, of movement. Stable, but in movement. And this looks like a generosity card. I'm seeing a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith meanings and influences in this deck. Here we have the 7 of coins. And again, for 7, I prefer the 3 on the top, 4 on the bottom for a Marseille deck. It's interesting that this looks like what I would like to see in a 6 card, right? We've got this formation with a 7th coin in the center. And here we go with the 8, and this looks like the 8 of coins to me in Rider-Waite-Smith. It's going to be difficult for me not to see Rider-Waite-Smith meanings in this deck. Now this looks like the guy plying his craft, practicing his trade, which is not what I would see in an 8 of coins for a Tarot de Marseille. This is the card of beauty, of 8. The 8 is a card of beauty and harmony with the material resources, with wealth, with health, with and I'm still practicing my Tarot de Marseille meanings. Let me be very clear about that. But here I really see Rider-Waite-Smith meanings from this little image here. And here we go with the 9 of coins. Yeah, and here I see finding one's place in a group or a corporation, or finding one's individual expression within and harmonizing with two groups, 4 above and 4 below. Whereas I see something very different here. It's interesting that in this card we do have plants decorating, but in a different layout to what I would think of as a Tarot de Marseille. And here we go with 10. And okay, so interesting. We've got a different layout here as well. We've got a guy standing back here. Not exactly sure. So this doesn't say, well, just a second, does it say? This doesn't exactly say Tree of Life to me. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. There should be, these should be pulled down just a little bit to be a true Tree of Life. Interesting. And this doesn't show me family, that kind of legacy or inheritance or familial wealth or material, that kind of material legacy. I see something very different here, which is interesting. And that is not what I would normally read for a 10 of coins in Tarot de Marseille. You notice that here we have the number. There are no numbers in the Conver decks for the pentacles. I'm sorry, the coins. Here we go with the Valet. Now, I like this. So we do have the one on the bottom. We have the one in the hand. They're bigger than usual, but that's cool. I love his outfit. Absolutely love his outfit. Here we go with the Cavalier de Denier. I like the dog. Interesting addition. Don't often see dogs in the Cavalier cards. But we've got the coin floating in the air. This one, it's behind, but he's looking behind instead of being in front of him. Interesting, interesting. Very decked out knights. Here we go with the Queen, and here she is seated, just as usual. She's got her wand. She's got her hand on her element. She's got a knee up. The colors on this deck are lovely, absolutely lovely. Here we go with the King. Okay, so both of them are looking to the left, which I like, looking to the future. Vision is clear on both of these cards. You know, they're not being covered by a hat. This is not a hat, this is a crown. That's cool. That's okay by me. Very nice. And here we go into the Cups. Good. So these are following the same suit. Interesting that there's a bird here. And often this is seen as the heavenly city of Jerusalem. I don't get that city cathedral feeling much from this one, but that's fine. What does this say? Thus, man is a being partly divine and partly mortal. So I guess we should be seeing that heavenly city of Jerusalem here. But this is much more clear. And I like the water coming out of this one, or what looks like water flowing out, whereas it's not flowing out of this one. Okay, oftentimes the 2 is very decorated, and here we'd have the name of the, perhaps the person working the press, the person doing the layout. This is GM. None of that indicated here. That's fine. We have the 2 vessels rather than 2 cups. Here we have the 3. So the cups in this deck are going to be vessels, right? We got the number up here instead of on the sides. That's fine. We've got both air and earth up here, and we have fire down here. Interesting. To have those 3 on a water card. Interesting. But I like that the 3 are like this, yeah? This gives me Rider-Waite-Smith feels. It just does. I just get all of this Rider-Waite-Smith feel out of this, where I don't get it here so much. Here we have the 4 cups, the 4 vessels laid out similarly, and instead of a plant, we have an elephant that does not look disappointed in the least. Often the Four of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is a guy sitting on the ground. He's got 3 cups in front of him. He looks kind of depressed or bored. There's a hand offering of a 4th cup from above. That's the Rider-Waite-Smith Four of Cups, and I don't get any of that here. Whereas I got that 3 of Cups feel from the Rider-Waite-Smith from these ladies. So, okay, interesting. And here we go with the 5. Very interesting. Okay, we've got breaking out of a shell. Clearly you're breaking out from the stability of the 4. And we don't get that sense of disappointment in this card, which I like. And here we have the 6. Okay, good. I like that they're lined up like this. We don't get a nostalgia feel from this one, which is nice. Do you notice that we don't get... okay, I just noticed this because I'm slow. We had text on the ace, right? But no text after the aces of the suits. Now there's no text on the court cards either. So for the suits, there are no text around any of the cards except for the aces. And here we go with the 7. Have to say I prefer this formation, but this is cool. I like that this one up here is radiant. Yeah, you can see the rays of some energy source, could be the sun, behind. Here we have the 8. 8 of Cups, interesting. Also looking like a work card to me, which is not what I would normally think of for an... Whoops. Why is that a 9? Where is my 8? Just a second. Okay, here's my 8. I'm very sorry. Okay, so 8. I don't usually see work as an element of the 8s. Let me see what this 8 says, because now I'm super curious. Okay, so 8 of Cups. These entries are very, very small, so don't worry. 8 of Cups. The metal artisan adds a decorative detail to a cup, detailed work, individualization, or skill. That's interesting. I don't usually see that in cups. But we do see that star being added up here. Usually I'd see this as a couple. Okay, here we go. Let's move on to the 9s, looking very similar. And a stag moving up. Oftentimes this is an end of relationship. I don't see an end of relationship here, but that's okay. Okay, moving on to the 10. Interesting. Looking like a pyramid, right? Rather than the big cup on top, either ready to or pouring down on the cups below. Interesting. This is an important Pythagorean symbol. I don't want to say symbol. I want to say a Pythagorean informative picture. Now we got 4, 3, 2, 1. So for the Pythagorean theories, this is an important shape and an important number layout. Here we go with the Valet. Okay, so this Valet has their cup covered by their cloth. This Valet has their cup uncovered. And this could be either their hat or the cap to the cup. Whereas this person is definitely wearing a hat. And it looks like there's a cap on their cup as well as the cloth covering it. I love the leggings on this one. And here we go with the Cavalier de Coupe. Okay, notice that he's catching water here, and there are fish below. That's an interesting thing. Why are there fish below the horse? So he's gathering emotion. He's gathering perhaps intuition as well. He's gathering water. His cup is also open, but we don't see the gathering idea here. Here we go with the Reine de Coupe. And where is her cup? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was part of her dress and she was holding a bouquet. But there's her cup. She's got a tight grasp on that cup. Her cup is also covered. And oftentimes this veil or canopy coming over this queen is seen as, along with the cap on the cup, being protective of their emotions. And you can get that from this queen as well, although you don't have a canopy. Looking very protective of that cup. No one's taking this cup from me. And here we go with the cup. And okay, his cup is on his shield. Interesting. He looks kind of bored, doesn't he? I don't see boredom in this guy. He looks kind of bored. Like, yeah, who's coming next? Who do I have to see? Look at that grasp he's got on his shield, too. Interesting. Okay, here we go with the ace of... Okay, so let me bring the ace of swords out here because I've got wands coming next. So let's do the swords first. That's not going to be difficult. Here we go with the swords. And here we have text on the ace of swords. Hand reaching out from the cloud, same direction. We got the crown. We don't have the two different kinds of foliage coming out. That's okay. And thus it came to pass that we men see as through a dark mist, the things of heaven, cutting through the clouds. And here we go with the two of swords. Now this was actually the prime reason that I was fighting myself against this deck. I prefer Marseille decks to have swords that look like this rather than this. But I got this deck because I love the artwork on it. I love Robert M. Place and his work. So we got 3 decorative elements here and an owl. Interesting. An owl, wisdom perhaps. Here we have, okay, total Rider-Waite Smith here. Yeah, 3 swords in the heart. Whereas I don't see that here. I don't see that here. Whereas I'm going to have a hard time not seeing that here. Here we have the 4 of swords, looking a little bit meditative, right? Whereas I don't see meditation very strongly in this card. I see perhaps protection of thought, perhaps an encasement of thought, perhaps allowing thought to grow. We got a flower here in the center. You could read that way, I guess. This reminds me a little bit of inspiration for a reason. Looks like waiting for or being divinely inspired. Here we have the 5 of swords. Interesting. Looking a little bit like someone, a blacksmith, working their swords. Which is not exactly what I would see in this card. Here we go with the 6 of swords, and we get that Rider-Waite Smith idea here, yeah? That ship going off, being blown away, being blown from the choppy waters. I don't get that travel idea in this card. Here we go with the 7 of swords, looking kind of clever, looking kind of like the 7 of swords in Rider-Waite Smith, whereas I don't see that in here. Here we go with the 8 of swords. Interesting. Okay, so I do not get a Rider-Waite Smith feel from this one. I don't see this person as being trapped by these swords. Necessarily. Interesting. Do you notice how these flowers are a little bit of an echo of each other? The cardstock on this deck is lovely. It's beautiful. Here we go with the 8. And this 9. Okay, I'm going to have a hard time not seeing the Nightmare card from this. Notice the sword is pointing down. The lattice work is different, of course, because the swords are arranged differently. And here we go with the 10 of swords, looking totally Rider-Waite Smith. Totally Rider-Waite Smith. And notice how these 2 swords look like they're forming a cross. Now, like you would see at a graveyard. Totally stabbed. Yeah, and we don't get that from the 10 of swords in the Marseille reading. So I'd have a hard time not seeing that and not thinking that with this deck. Now, okay, I'm not saying I don't read with Rider-Waite-Smith. I'm not saying that at all. I love Rider-Waite-Smith. I love me all of my Rider-Waite-Smiths. But I read Tarot de Marseille for a different kind of reading. Okay, here we go with the Valet de Paix. Yeah, sure. Much more armored, this Valet, right? This Valet looks more cavalier to me, whereas this one looks protected and a little bit defensive. This one looks like he's out for a good time. Don't misunderstand that. I'm not saying out to go on the town, but he's out to have, he's having fun, I think. Here we go, the Cavalier de Paix, the horse, pointing that way. Interesting, we've got an eagle down there at the bottom. Yeah, I love the sword on this knight's shield. No shield in this one. And we don't have the shoulder protection with the face in this deck. But we do have the face of the horse being protected here, which is interesting. And look at this little dot. There's no little dot here. that little dot is so important. Sorry, that was a little bit of a joke. Okay, so here we go with her sword. Her sword is formidable, definitely formidable. And it looks like there's a leather strap around it, so she's able to strap this sword on and go do her business if she needs to. Yeah. I like that she's got a book. Independent thought, clear thinker, educated, well-informed, queen of thought. Okay, here we go with the Roi de Paix. Okay, so no hat, but we got a crown. He looks much more seated than this king. This king looks like he's ready to jump up and leap into action at a moment's notice. No shield on this one, whereas we do have the shoulder protections here. No shoulder protections here, but we have a shield. Very interesting. His grasp on his sword looks much more casual than this knight's. Or this king's, I'm sorry, king. We call them kings in English, right? Right. Okay. Moving on to the... Whoa, look at that wand. That wand is on fire. Everything that is moved by soul. By passion. We got a lot of passion here. And we got the flames going on here, just like that. We got the hand coming out from the cloud, pointing in the same direction. Cool. I like that this wand has a leaf on it. I like that, even though it is in flames. Maybe this is like the burning bush, yeah? The wand that burns but is never consumed. That's an interesting thought. I like that. Okay, here are the two of wands. Now, I like the wands in this suit because they remind me a lot of a Marseille wands card. We've got a Hermes figure here. We got, I don't know, maybe Psyche, maybe? No, not Psyche. Who is Hermes' partner? Oh, gosh. Okay, well, sorry. You can look it up. It's interesting that this looks almost like a third wand. I could almost get confused for a moment. Here we go. Well, here we go with the third wand. Okay, so they're very different. And here we go. This looks like the three of wands in the Rider-Waite-Smith card to me, with the guy with the three wands watching his ship sailing off or sailing in, which I don't get from this card. So a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith echoes in this deck, right? Four of wands, looking a little bit like a potential marriage card, whereas I don't see a potential marriage card in this one. Now we got the hand fasting. Kind of, we don't have the string, but two hands in union. We have two doves. Kind of looking a little bit like a mating. Okay, the five of wands. Ooh, look at that. We got a rainbow of colors shooting out from the fingers. I love that. Here we go with the Six of Wands, looking very much like a victory card. Whereas this is not necessarily a victory card. Okay, the Seven. What do we have? Ooh, wolves. Okay, Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands is often in Rider-Waite-Smith. Guy up high up, beating down 6 other wands with his wand. So this looks like it could be a little bit defensive, perhaps, from these 2 wolves. They look like they're on the attack. I don't know. Okay, so here we go with the 8 of Wands. Interesting. What? Chopping wood. Does that look stable to you? Does that look like beauty in passion? 9 of Wands, and there's, oh my gosh, there's a wolf up there. It's an interesting choice. 9 of Wands here. Basic shape is the same, but this is replaced, right? These dots. First time we really see them is in the 8. No, they're in the even cards. Okay, so for the even cards, no, not all the even cards. Now 4 there were the doves. So from 6 we have the 2 dots. 8, 2 dots. But we keep the 2 dots for the 9. And then we have the 10 of Wands. I would have preferred having this one being vertical so that you get the double wand here. But, you know, I still bought the deck. I love the deck. And we get this phoenix rising up. Moving on perhaps to the next element. And here we go with the Valet de Bâton. So this baton looks very rough, like the ace, yeah? A new beginning, not refined. Whereas this one looks very refined to me. And here we go with the knight. A little more refined, a little smaller, more able to manage. This is just a completely refined wand. And here we have the salamander. No salamanders in this deck. Here we have the Queen of Wands, and what the heck? Oh, that's her cape, her robe. What do we call those? Her cape. Yes, her cape. Interesting. So we've got this kind of wand and this kind of wand, which is an interesting choice. I wonder what that means. Good. And finally, the King of Wands, the Roi de Bâton. The kings look a little bit bored in this deck, don't they? He looks a little bit bored. We don't get the wand pointing at his heel. This looks a little bit dangerous, right? We don't get that in this card, but that's fine. This is not a Comber deck. So, what do you think? I'm very happy that I bought this deck by Robert and Place. It's a beautiful deck. I'm not going to work with it immediately because I still need to get my Tarot de Marseille meanings solidified in my brain. And as I showed you as we went through this deck, I see so many echoes back to the Rider-Waite-Smith in this deck. It's going to take me a little bit of time before I've got my Tarot de Marseille meanings and concepts all solidified enough so that when I see this deck, I can make a choice and not go immediately to the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings. So friends, what do you think? Is this a deck you'd be interested in? Let me shuffle it for you. Okay, so like I said, this is gilded. The cardstock is a soft, semi-matte, I guess. Not too thick. It's going to be very easy to shuffle. So let's see. Let me do a little bit of a split. I'm going to pick 2 cards and see, or maybe I'll pick 3 cards. He recommends 3 cards, right? I'll pick 3 cards and see what kind of a message I get for us for today. Let's see. So overhand once. If you want to skip ahead to the end of my shuffle, feel free, because I'm going to shuffle as best I can. What is a message that is helpful for us to hear today? That's the question I'm going to be asking of the deck right now. What is a message that would be helpful for us to hear today? So they're a little bit stiff still, but you can see that they shuffle very easily. Even though they are big and the gilding is a little bit sharp, I'm not having any trouble. What is a message that is good for us to hear today? So I'm going to do my full shuffle, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you want to skip ahead, feel free. Space is cramped so that I could give you the closest shot of these decks, on these decks. What is a message that would be beneficial for us to hear today? What is a message that would be beneficial for us to hear today? Really, there's not enough space for this, right? They don't clump very much at all. Well, they don't clump at all. For me, I have to be a little bit careful of them flying out of my hand, but I don't have to be super careful. They're not uncontrollable. What would be a message that would be beneficial for us to hear today? Oh yeah, they're shuffling much more easily as I go. That gilding is still sharp. It's going to continue to be sharp. What is the message that would be beneficial for us to hear today? Okay, last overhand shuffle, and I will pick 3 cards for us and see if I can read it. Whoa, sorry. Picking up the cloth as I go. Whoa, okay, like I said, I have to be a little bit careful. I tend not to read jumpers because I know my shuffling ability. So here we go. What is a message that would be beneficial for us to hear today? 3 cards. 1. Oh, cool. 2. 3. Okay, so what do we get? So we don't actually see people looking much at each other here, right? The queen is looking forward. You could read the wind blowing in this direction, sure. So what I see is our ability to, okay, now let's look, we got fire, we have air, and we have earth. So there's a balance. We don't have 1 or 2 of one kind of suit. We have a 7 and a 6. Okay, so that's not going to tell us much. What I get from this is that with our ability to use our passion, our inner fire, the more we are able to use that, the more we will have stability, both stability in our mental area sphere, as well as a sense of order and a sense of beauty in our minds, which will lead us to an ability to create within our sphere of working partners. We have our place within a group, keeping our own individuality, but able to work with the group. So, being able to master and use and direct our passion will lead us to very stable, but also very connected mental state and also ability to communicate, which will lead us to be able to work and keep our individuality as we work within our group. I think that's what I'm reading here. So we want to keep our passion. We want to use our passion with a stable mentality that is also connecting both above and below, right? We want to have our not thinking only about common everyday things, but we also want to have our mind to the spiritual as well. And in combination of both of those, we will be able to function as individuals, as fully developed individuals within a group, and to maintain and develop our individuality as we also interact. So that's what I've got off the top of my head. So I hope that is meaningful to you as well. And friends, I'll be right back. I've got a little bit of an announcement to give you. So I'm going to turn the camera back up. I will see you in just a moment. Hello friends, I'm back. And I have something special for you. I don't know if you know this, but we have reached the 100 subscriber mark on my channel. Woohoo! This is exciting for me, yes? For you, I don't know. Probably if you have a channel, you have many more subscribers. But for me, this is really exciting and something to celebrate and something that I would like to show my gratitude for. So, in honor of all of you who have subscribed to this channel, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little giveaway. Now, I'll probably do one, I'll do one now, and then maybe when I reach the 500 mark, and then when I reach the 1,000 mark, and so on. But this is the first giveaway. And for the first giveaway, what I'm going to give away is this deck. It's a sealed Ancestral Path Tarot. Now, if you're not familiar with this deck, it is large. It's a large deck. It is borderless, and it has some diversity. The suits are of 4 different cultures and times from around the world. So this is a gorgeous deck. I think it's beautiful. And if you're interested in winning it, by August 8th, 2021, I would like you in the comments to write down one of 2 things. Either some things you might like to see on this channel in the future. I'm not promising anything, but if I can do them, if it's something I'm capable of, I will try my darndest. Or, option number 2, tell me why you would be interested in working with this Ancestral Paths Tarot. So, by August 8th, please tell me one of those 2 things. Some things you'd like to see on this channel in the future, or why you would like to have this Ancestral Path Tarot. Again, it is still completely sealed, and it's borderless. So, do that by August 8th, and what I will do is I will put the names into one of those Wheel of Fortune random pickers, and the person who is selected, I will write a comment below in this video, and we'll get in touch, and I will send you this deck free of charge. You won't even have to pay for postage. Remember, I'm shipping from South Korea, so it's not just the deck, I'm paying for shipping. So, congratulations to me, and thank you to all of you. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.